on the lookout in your inboxes next week with him in the room. It's a nice time to remind everybody that we will have the 4th annual Tim Beret Award this year, which goes every year to the player that best represents himself, his teammates, and Clemson University through the media. So that ballot should be in your inboxes early next week. Please be on the lookout and help us out with that so we can honor one of our guys. We will open with comments from the head coach today before going to questions in the room and then questions virtually. So, Coach, when you're ready, take it away.
Okay. Well, excited this week's finally here. Really proud of our team for a great win this past week and really finishing up our home schedule undefeated. That's a great accomplishment for this group, and excited about the state championship being back in play. I think everyone missed it last year, both sides, so have opportunity to get this game back going. Unbelievable, long-standing tradition in college football. So look forward to heading down to Columbia. I know it'll be a great game and a great environment. It always is when we go down there, and so we look forward to that. And this is a good team. You know, they're playing with a lot of confidence. They're playing physical. They're playing with a ton of effort, and I think that's a reflection of what Shane has been able to do in a short time. They're 5-1 at home, so they played well there and play with a lot of confidence, and so it's a good team that has battled every single week. And one of the things that I think is impressive about them is what they've done in the fourth quarter against opponents. You know, they've outscored their opponents in the fourth quarter, even games where they were down, and it would have been easy for them to maybe give in a little bit. They've never done that all year. They've competed, and so I think that again says a lot about what Coach Beamer's been able to do in a short amount of time. But it's a good football team. They've found a little bit of an identity offensively. Their quarterback 15 has kind of settled in and settled them down, and he's playing with confidence. He's got good poise and throws the ball well. But they have found the best formula for them to be successful, and they're running that football. And it's a very physical group, physical running backs. They got 4 guys. They play all those guys at different times. They've all had their moments throughout the year, but 11 and 20 are the 2 guys that have kind of gotten them over the hump in a run game here as of late, and they're just incredibly physical players. 11, you're trying to figure out who some of these guys are, and you're getting ready for the personnel. And I think, it makes a lot of sense when you look at him. I mean, he signed with Florida State, and he was a linebacker, played as a linebacker. And then he went to a junior college, and then went to South Carolina playing running back. So he plays running back like a linebacker. He has that type of mentality, and you see that. He's very physical. And then, he's 6.2 or carry, and then, 20, obviously he led the SEC in rushing last year. So this is a really physical group of backs. We're very physical tight ends that do a great job. And then, their receivers are emerging. And 6 has become a playmaker. They get him the ball in all kind of different ways, whether it be down the field, double move, screen game, whatever. But he has really become a great playmaker for them, and they've just got some other guys that you see emerging with some confidence in 5 and 7 and 13. 7 is a speed guy. He's got a lot of juice to him. So this is just a group, like I said, that's playing with more confidence and have really kind of bought into what their identity is for this team. And then defensively, same thing. Early in the season, they were doing some things structurally that I think, they had some confusion and things like that, and they gave up some big plays and got them behind. But they've really, since the Tennessee game, have kind of settled down and kind of settled in on what their identity is defensively as well. And I think that's been a reflection of a great coaching job, by their defensive staff. So very good group up front. These are physical guys. Number 1 is a projected first-round draft pick. 6 is an outstanding player, 99. All those guys, they got a deep rotation. 15's a great player. They play a bunch of guys up front. They've settled in on their backers and their secondary. And, again, just they've created an identity, and that's what's given them a chance to be successful. And you look at what they've done these past few weeks. Beating Auburn, beating Florida. They go on the road to Missouri and, kind of got behind. And, man, they came back and had a chance in that game late, 31-28, late in the game there. So just a team that really is playing together as a team very well. They've been very opportunistic. I think they've scored 4 times on defense. They've blocked 3 punts, blocked a field goal. So, from our standpoint, this game is it's critical that we take care of the ball, not give them short fields, and that we do a good job in special teams. Their kicker is excellent. He's 93%. He rarely ever misses. So, again, trying to keep these guys backed up on a long field and try to, win the matchup when it comes to being able to run the football. That'll be a critical part of this game. But it's a good team, and we're excited about the challenge, and then also just – for us this week is a special week. It's Thanksgiving. We all got a lot to be thankful for, and look forward to having a great week with our guys and building toward a fun moment Saturday night.
That was a little different dynamic where you're preparing for a rivalry game, yet you've got a couple games right before yours that with Wake and NC State that can determine whether you guys go to the ACC championship game. How do you guys handle that with your team, with your guys?
I mean, you can't worry about it. I mean, you don't have any – focus on what we control. That's what we've been trying to do. I mean, we've done all we can. We've put ourselves in position from where we were to going into the very last weekend to still be and have a chance to go to the ACC championship, win the division outright, or be a co-division champ. I mean, I think that's a great accomplishment for this team, for sure. But it's not something we have no control over that, so you can't focus on that. You don't need to waste any energy. We just need to focus on where we are and what we're trying to do, and that's trying to win the state championship. If it's meant to be, it'll work out. If it's not, hey, we gave ourselves a chance, and you get ready for a great bowl game. But that's out of our control.
You touched on it briefly in the opening statement, just to have this rivalry game back after the hiatus last year because of COVID. What does it mean just to be able to play this game again after the break last year?
Yeah, is this the 118th game? Is that what it is? 118? 118th game? I mean, that's a long time. And so, this game, I have a great appreciation for rivalry games anyway, growing up in Alabama, for 33 years there and living the Alabama-Auburn experience. And that was just kind of a way of life. And that's one of the things when I came to Clemson, I was thankful for, and I learned really quick. This is a great rivalry and a lot of historic rivalry, and it means a lot. It means a lot to the people in this state. It's one of those games where, it's rarely do you have you might have a husband-wife, Clemson, South Carolina, and it's no big deal when they're playing Tennessee or Georgia or Missouri or whatever. But in this state, when Clemson, South Carolina play, it impacts everyone. And, they're going to talk about it at church. They're going to talk about it at dinner. They're going to talk about it at their Thanksgiving get-togethers. And, because it's just a part of the DNA of South Carolina. And I think it's really fun to be a part of those things. It's better when you win, that's for sure. But it's fun to be a part of a rivalry game and all that comes with it, for sure.
Dabo, with the offensive line, do you feel like that unit's finally getting a little more healthy and gelling and playing its best football right now?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, we're it's been a mixed bag pretty much every week, but we were excited about last week getting Putnam back and having just the best available, most experienced guys we have, even though they're all sophomores and a junior in J-Mac. But, they're just way more experienced, more confident, more knowledgeable. You look back coming in this year, Trotter and Rayburn are redshirt sophomores, but this was their first time to really have an opportunity to play. And then Trotter was out until the Syracuse game with a broken hand. So, Walker Parks, man, he's had one bad game this year. He's had one game, And that was a game where he didn't practice but one day in a 2-week span. And, so practice it's still important. That's really the only bad game he's had. He's been very steady for us, and his first-year starter as well, and playing that type of reps. And then J Mack he's an all-conference player. I mean, we've been really, really fortunate that he's been able to stay on the field for us, because he's by far definitely our best player, most experienced player. But all those guys, the gap has just closed a little bit, and they're just confident and just being able to, and then you look at your youth at running back and developing confidence there, getting experience there, and those guys have kind of got their sea legs under them now and playing with a lot of confidence. And I think we've done some good things at tight end as well that has helped us. But definitely they're more settled than we've been at any point of the season, and more confident than we've been. And I got a big matchup this week. This will be a big challenge. These are some big, strong, physical guys up front.
Yeah, but recruiting-wise, obviously you guys have been able to go national over the past several years. How often do you feel like you and South Carolina are directly competing these days?
Not very often, really not. That's one of those things that, earlier when I first got here, I felt like we had a little more competitions, but we really very few, and we're very different. It's different places. It's obviously just the environments and things like that. And if you love Columbia, you're probably not going to like Clemson. And if you love Clemson, you're probably not going to like Columbia. They're just very different. They offer different things, both great, but both offer different things. And so, and then we both have the same issues when it comes to our recruiting base. This is a small population when it comes to football players. Atlanta's got more people than the whole state of South Carolina, and so then you throw in that, okay, you got to be able to win in the SEC and the ACC. You got to be a good enough player for that level of competition. And then you throw in position need, academics, fit, all that stuff. That pool gets even smaller. And then you throw in that if and I experienced this at Alabama, when you're in a state like this with no pro sports, et cetera, and it's two like really great colleges with a big rivalry, Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, South Carolina. A lot of kids grow up, one way or the other. So, if a kid grew up and he's Clemson, and we offer him, it's an uphill battle, and vice versa. If a kid's growing up South Carolina, and they offer him, it's, every now and then you'll have a situation where that could go either way, but usually not. Usually not.
Dabo, last year when the SEC decided to cancel the game because of COVID, how disappointed were you guys to know you weren't going to get to play them last year, and how did that affect you somewhat in a way?
Well, it didn't really affect us, but we were certainly disappointed because it was a home game, and we didn't get the opportunity to play the game here at home. That's a big deal to everyone involved, on the Clemson side for sure. And but it is what it is. Both leagues made the decision to go conference only. It didn't really make sense to me. We got to go all the way to wherever. I don't even know where we all went last year, but wherever, pick a place. What? Yeah, we got to go to Notre Dame, but we can't hop on we can't, get a bus ride up. Just kind of silly to me. But when you're dealing with the COVID stuff, it didn't make any sense to me. It felt like there should have been some exceptions, out of conference, but those were decisions that the conference people made, and it was disappointing because it means a lot to the people in this state, and but it is what it is. It didn't really, it didn't affect us. It just was a disappointment for both sides. I'm sure they were disappointed too. They an opportunity to. To have a tradition that you look forward to every year, and all of a sudden you can't do it.
Dabo, there was a point early this season where we were talking about the lapses in execution on offense, keeping it very basic. As the improvement in execution has occurred over the last 4 or so games. How much have y'all been able to add to that?
Yeah, this was our best. I mean, this was this is the best tape to grade. I mean, it was fun. I mean, it's the way it's supposed to be. You know, it maybe not always clean and finish, or maybe you could, some technical things, but just execution-wise, precision in what we do, targeting people, hands in the right spot. It was just great to see. But definitely, as we've gotten more experience and we've been able to coach guys, if you're a competitor and you're made of the right things, you're going to get better through failure. You're going to get better through mistakes if it's important to you. And there's no greater teacher than experience. I say that all the time. There just isn't. You can prepare, but until you get the experience in the game and the game slows down for you, it's hard. And so I think the game has slowed down for several of our guys. And it's going to pay huge dividends for us as we move forward for the next few years. We've got a very good foundation in place with some guys that are going to be good players, and they've taken some lumps, but these past few games, our execution and our precision in what we do, and just not turning people loose and everybody being coordinated. A guy might get beat, but just being coordinated together, 11 guys on the same page, has really helped us get better.
Does some of that speak to DJ pre-snap? Have you noticed improvement pre-snap for him, or at least when he's assessing what's happening?
Yeah. But I think it's more post-snap. That's where I think the most improvement has come from.
You mentioned experience being your greatest teacher. Well, there's a lot of young guys on your team who have never been in a game like this, let alone played in Columbia at night with the state championship on the line. Just how do you approach maybe this game with some of your younger players that you're going to lean on to how to embrace the atmosphere that's certainly going to be raucous by the time the game kicks off?
Yeah, I mean, we played on the road several times this year. And we've won a couple. We haven't played a complete game on the road. That's something I would like to see us do. We played our best, most complete game at home. I'd like to see us do that on the road for sure, and that's what it's going to take. But I mean, these guys, this is game, 12. So they know what to expect, and the main thing is focus on what we control. You can't worry about all that stuff. You got to have a great preparation. You prepare them for the noise and all that stuff with your cadence and operational things, but still comes down to doing your job, doing it with great effort and toughness and physicality and great fundamentals.
Could EJ be back?
Not sure right now. I mean, he's kind of day to day. Last night he was with the trainer, so they wanted to really kind of test drive him, I guess, and see where he is. So we'll know a little bit more today and tomorrow.
Same thing with Agata.
Yeah, same thing. He won't be back this week. Yeah, he's not quite there, but he is better. He's definitely better.
With Pace and Shipley, are you seeing things on film that you weren't seeing earlier in the season that's contributing to some of their success?
Well, I mean, again, the game has just slowed down for him. Kobe, he played last year, but he didn't play a lot of snaps. So he was ready to go and got a little bit of experience, but again, not a lot. And the more you play, the more confident you get. And as you have success, and then you make some mistakes too, you learn and grow from both of those things, and that's what you've seen in those guys. I mean, they're just very confident now in what we're doing. More discipline in their tracks, their footwork, more discipline in their protections, and just more precise. So that's what that's where they should be after a full season. Both playing with a lot of confidence, and I'm proud of them, proud of the development.
Are they also getting some better holes to run through maybe?
Oh yeah, everything. Playing, we're definitely better up front. But you look at Shipley last week, the first big run, we had an unblocked guy, and he just he's made him miss, you know. And I think earlier in the year, you know, we might get tackled right there because, you know, your eyes are a little bigger, you're breathing a little harder. But as you play the game longer and things slow down, your eyes get a little smaller, your breath becomes a little normal, and next thing you know, your talent starts to, you know, the game slows down and your talent shines a little bit. And it's not as much assignment as it is playing the game. You know, early on when you don't have a lot of experience, it's a lot of, you know, assignment and just really, you know, and then next thing, then you react to the game. But you know, now it's kind of like they're playing, and that's a reflection of just some experience that they've gotten through the year. But proud of those guys. Same with Maffa. You know, he got a little later start because we were trying to hold him, but he's done some really good things as well.
When you look at the tape, are you seeing anything different out of this year's South Carolina team as opposed to maybe years past when you faced off against them?
I mean, you know, it's been since 2019, so it's definitely different. Talking 2 years, you know, we got some of the same guys, but they're all older. The guys that were in that 19 game they're just older and more mature players. But you know, the biggest thing is you know, they're playing with a lot of confidence. We've seen some really good teams, you know, over the years. So seen some good teams, seen some teams that were in transition. But this is a good team. It's a good team.
You won 6 in a row in the series. Before that, you lost 5 in a row. So what was the difference? What do you see as the difference between a kind of a long losing streak versus a long winning streak?
Turnovers. I mean, that 5-game losing streak, we turned it over 15 times to their 3. 5 games, we turned it over 15 times. They turned it over 3. And I think the last one in 2013, I think we had 6 turnovers in that game. So, you know, in a game like this, that'll beat you.
As a receivers coach who has always preached the importance of playing away from the ball, how much joy did it give you to see Dakari with those blocks away from the ball in the end zone?
He was awesome. Made a big deal out about that in front of the team on yesterday. You know, I just love the physicality, love the mindset, and you know, being a complete player, playing without the ball, you know, making a difference. And just, I thought we did a really good job. Bo as well. All those guys did a good job. You know, just, you know, big runs come through great effort on the second level, you know, by receivers. You know, whether it's running a guy off, staying in position, giving, you know, because backs they don't need much. You know, if you can just cover people up, and a lot of that is effort, and then just playing with some toughness, especially when you're playing people who press you, because they don't know the play. You know, so you know, change up your technique, and you know, sometimes you're working a release technique, sometimes you're physical with them, and it just creates, it's kind of that game within the game. But I'm really proud of Dakar. He and Bo, as you know, true freshmen, same thing. The game has slowed down for them from where they were at the beginning of the year. Dakar hit a wall, and then we kind of got him through it, and now he's playing with a ton of confidence, and so is Bo. And you know, 2 really good players, and 7 scholarship receivers out last week. We need them to be good players, and they've come through for us.
From the outside, it seems like maybe the Louisville game, the blocking as a whole on the outside started to get better at that point. Is that accurate?
I mean, it's been, you know, I thought Jay Ross kind of was setting the tone for us. I mean, he really had 3 or 4 games in a row where he was playing really physical without the ball, was making a lot of good blocks, and I think he was really trying to, you know, lead the way in that regard. And it certainly was an emphasis for us. And the guys that bought in, but you know, we don't right now. We don't have a lot of guys, and the guys that are out there playing hard.
You talked a lot in the past about 13 personnel, and that's how you want to play. A lot of 2 tight end sets this weekend. With the emergence of tight ends and the receiver injuries, does that involve new install, or are you tweaking packages that you already had to incorporate the second tight end?
Well, we've always, you know, had a 12 personnel package when we had the people. when we've had the right personnel, we've always had some 12 personnel stuff. We're primarily an 11 personnel team. That's not going to change, but we've had some years where we've been, maybe it's been 75-25 or 80-20 or 90-10, whatever. We'll get in some 13 stuff when we're in some short yardage and goal line things, but we just feel good about the guys, the development there, and but it's not as much. I mean, it's install every week. You take what you do and you have game plan install every single week. That's why camp is so important, spring and camp, and really building a foundation and an understanding of your offense, of your system. And then, week in and week out, you tweak that, but it's still within the system. So it's install and it's game plan specific. But as guys learn the system, it makes sense to them. And it's not like it's something new. It's just a different personnel that you have in the game. So we always have some package stuff that's relevant to whatever game we're in. But, with the improvement of Ennis, and his physicality, and with the improvement of Brenny, although he had a couple mistakes last week, and then where we are, personnel-wise, we're just trying to, do what we do, but make sure that we've got answers, because we're running out of people. So that's really it.
Stellato, do you have an update on where he is?
Still limping. They're calling it a bone bruise, so he's just limping around.
Was he in line to play?
Oh yeah, he would have played. Yeah, he would have played a good bit, but he had a good week of practice, and again, we've been trying, and we had 2 games left with him, so we're trying to strategize on how we wanted to use those 2 games, but that all ended in warm-ups.
What happened?
It's a dangerous place out there in warm-ups. There's stand back, hide the women and children. He just kind of planted wrong and kind of came down on his heel. And next thing I know, Danny Poole's telling me, "Hey, Stellato's out. We're going to put him." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, we hadn't even played a snap." I don't even know. It was the craziest thing. We had that happen one year with Sam Cooper in Athens. Same thing, In fact, I think he broke his leg, though, or maybe it was his Achilles. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, same thing. But he just said he came down funny, and so it's kind of a deep bone bruise on his heel. Can't really walk. Hard to play receiver when you can't walk.
You mentioned the turnovers that hurt you in that 5-game losing streak. South Carolina this year has been very good at forcing teams into mistakes. What have you seen from them that makes them so good at forcing teams into mistakes?
Yeah, well, they're aggressive. They're aggressive, and I think the biggest thing is they've structurally kind of made some changes. Tennessee really they had some miscommunication issues and guys not on the same page and turned the guys loose. And kind of since that game, they've made some adjustments, and they're not afraid to play man coverage. They feel good about those guys, and they've gotten their hands on some balls. They've had some fumbles. They've had some picks. So I think it's 3 pick sixes on the year. So just good positioning and opportunistic finishing on the ball. So you need that along the way.
Some of the quarterback situation's been a little fluid with different guys coming in and out. With the sample size that you do have of Jason Brown, what are you kind of seeing from him?
Yeah, I'm impressed with him. I never heard of him. I know who he was. I obviously knew about Doty and the unbelievable story about the grad assistant coach going to quarterback. That's amazing, amazing story. So I didn't know about this kid. And he's done a nice job. He came in, first time I saw him, I guess it was Texas A&M. He came in that game, and he really did some good stuff. I mean, all the way to the last play. The game was over, but he's playing. I mean, he scrambles out, throws a touchdown pass to number 12, and left side of the end zone there. And I mean, you just see some good things. I see what they like about him. because I think Zeb's back, but they've kind of stuck with this guy. And I think he's taking advantage of his opportunity. He's got good poise. He can throw the football, and he's got a good understanding of what they're doing. But he's settled them down. He's made some big plays. He's extended a few plays where he's found some guys. Had a big touchdown against Florida. I think it was Florida, where they he extended, got out, and found number 6 wide open in the end zone. But he's doing a good job for him. Doing a really good job.
How would you describe that offense in terms of the influences that you see as far as the bunch formations and the route combinations and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a good job with the personnel they have. I mean, I think that's what everybody tries to do week in and week out, because you kind of figure out who you are, and certainly for you're coming in, you're a new staff, and you're figuring those things out. And I think that they've done a nice job of playing to their strengths. And the big old offensive line, and but they're running the ball with some power and trying to play action, trying to take some max pro shots. They move 6 around all over the place. They'll get on the perimeter with the screens, and the screening goes. They'll run the reverses. They've had some. They've had all the tricks. They've thrown they open up with a flea flicker against Florida. They've tried double passes. I mean, they've been creative, but it still comes down to, how are they going to run the football, and whether it's using the formationing to give them some advantages or whatever. I think they've done a nice job, schematically giving them an opportunity. But then number 11, his emergence, I think has been really, and then 20 getting back, because he was out for a while. Now him getting back going, they've settled in. The physicality of their tight ends, these guys will knock you around, and that's been I just think there are a lot of 12 personnel with 0 and Muse 9, and that's just kind of again using their people that they have to give them the best opportunity to move the ball. And then with all the transition at quarterback, it's been a challenge for them. But that's what you see with where they are now, playing with confidence, and 15 has really kind of settled them down because he's made some nice throws for them.
Dabo, I know you said you really challenged the staff last week to coach his best game. Just what was your message to the staff just last week heading into Wake Forest?
I mean, I just felt like, that's my challenge every week. I challenge them every single week, but I just felt like that, we were going to have to do our best job. Just like we challenge our players every week to do their best. We were going to have to do our very best job in that game, because that was a really good football team, and really challenge you schematically. And but our staff did an awesome job, and I just felt like that we set the tone every week, and just kind of re-emphasizing that.
What's your relationship with Coach Beamer like?
Oh, it's great. I've known Shane a long time. I always had great respect for him. I mean, that's not ever going to change. That's unfortunate part of this business is, there's a lot of people that hate me and they've never met me. They don't know me from Adam because I wear a paw on my shirt. And that's, that just comes with it. When I first got here, you go on the road recruiting. Nobody knows me. My first time out, but I'm used to it because that's the way it was at Alabama Auburn too. You walk into a school and some people are really happy to see you because you're the guy from Clemson, and then other people are like, oh, you're the guy from Clemson, and you get that. And they don't know you, so that comes with the territory from a fan standpoint. But from a professional standpoint, just because somebody wears a logo, that doesn't mean I can't like them anymore. I've always liked Shane. Shane he's a great coach. He's a great man. Love his family. Love his dad. I've always had a great relationship with his mom and dad, and so I got a lot of respect for him. And I compete against a lot of friends, and every game's a rivalry because they're trying to beat you and you're trying to beat them. Every single week you're playing somebody. And a lot of those people that we play are friends. So that doesn't change just because, you know, he's the head coach of South Carolina now. I've got a lot of respect for him.
How also did y'all communicate over the years before he got to?
Yeah, just obviously when he was at South Carolina as an assistant, we were both assistants, so see him a lot. And then he was with Woody at Mississippi State, and got to know him, you know, way back then. And then just over the years, and then he was at Georgia, communicate, text, and then he was at Oklahoma, and we'd stay in touch. And his son actually became a Clemson fan. I'm sure he would still tell you that. You know, his son was, he was a huge Clemson fan. I can't wait to see him. I'm going to remind him of that when I see him. He better be out on the field and be looking for him. But, you know, I mean, I remember one year he was at Oklahoma, and, you know, but he wanted like a Clemson jersey and this and that. So I sent him some stuff, and Shane sent me a video of him. And he's got a beautiful family. But his little boy, and we had a nice laugh on that, you know, when he was taking the job. 'Cause I talked to him a couple times before he got the job, and I said, you know, you're going to have a problem on your hand. It's going to be a real problem when your son comes to Clemson. It's going to be an issue for you in this state. So, you know, thankfully you got a few years to figure that out. But yeah, so we've always communicated and stayed in touch, and you know, collaborated over the years a few times.
Can you relate to what he's doing now at the start of his career in South Carolina? It sounds like he wants to make that his only stop, like you want to make Clemson your only stop. And he's building up on positive traits of the school and the university continually, like you did when you got started at Clemson. Do you see a lot of similarities in style, the way he's handling his stuff, the way you handle your stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not close enough to it on a daily basis to really answer that. All I can say is, you know, from a big picture standpoint, is I think he's doing a great job with his team, you know, and trying to build team, trying to establish, you know, core values, and you know, it's not easy to do that. And he's you know, got a clear philosophy, I think, of how he wants it to look like, and a vision for what he wants it to look like, and just kind of staying the course to that. And that's not easy. There's tough decisions along the way. There's setbacks, you know, all those type of things. But I think the biggest thing with Shane is he's a positive guy, and I think that he, you know, he just keeps looking at it as half full, and I think that's what it takes.
Anything for Coach from Zoom?
You have a favorite Thanksgiving meal to eat on Thursday?
Yeah, turkey, and my mom's dressing, and some mac and cheese, and, you know, all the usuals. So I look forward to that for sure.
How did Justin Ross, his surgery go?
Great. It went really good. You know, it was a very clean, very simple surgery to put the screw in there, but he'll be fine. You know, here in a few weeks.
Yeah. Do you think he could still possibly play in the bowl game?
Maybe. I don't know. You know, we'll see. We'll see how quick he recovers, but what bowl game we're in, you know, what's the timeline and all that stuff. But I'd say it's a possibility.
You have any idea what Galloway's plans are?
Graduating, and you know, I think we haven't sat down and talked about it, but his intention was to graduate and move on. He's not indicated anything has changed there.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, appreciate it. See y'all down there.